Have you ever had a really bad day? Maybe you've had many of them all at once. Well, I wonder if you've had a bad day like this poor couple. It's supposed to be a true story. I am a little bit suspect of it, but it illustrates the point. There was a couple in Sweetwater, Texas, supposedly, that had a lot of potted plants. They kept them outside, but of course in Texas, as a couple of our former members who are here with us today know, it does get cold at night, right? Yeah, it can. So they were bringing their potted plants inside. And as they brought them in, little did they realize that in one of the potted plants, a little garden snake had crawled in. Now, I don't know about you, but if you want to see me scream like a little girl, throw a snake my way. Amen. Well, this little snake was in the plants and it curled in there trying to stay warm, and when they brought it in, warmer in the house, so the snake warmed up. And snakes that are cold don't move very much, but snakes that get warmed up start moving. And so this little snake, as it warmed up, it slithered out and slithered across the floor, to which the wife, when she saw it, she did what, do you think? Screamed her head off. Right. Well, her husband, who was just getting dressed in the bedroom, he had just pulled his, actually undressed, he was taking his shoes and socks off, he was barefoot. He came running out to see what was the matter. And as he comes out, she tells him that there's a snake and it had just went underneath the sofa. So he gets down on his hands and knees and starts prodding around looking for the snake. Unbeknownst to him, though, the family dog came up and did a cold nose on his toes. He thought the snake was back there, you know how their tongues go in and out? He thought he was being licked. Of course, well, he got so scared he passed out. The wife comes back into the room, sees her husband laying on the floor. She calls the ambulance. And the ambulance comes very quickly. Of course, her husband's coming around. The attendants rush in. They start to load him up. He's protesting against it, telling him to leave him alone. And as they're starting to carry him out on the stretcher, the snake comes slithering out again. One of the attendants sees it, gets so afraid that he drops the stretcher. The husband breaks his leg. Well, they, of course, load him up and take him to the hospital. The wife calls a neighbor over. He comes over and he begins to poke around underneath the sofa. He can't find the snake, so he tells her, the snake must have got out of here in the confusion. She sits down on the sofa, and as she's trying to relax, her hand dangles down between the cushions, and guess what she finds? The snake. She passes out. The neighbor has walked into another room looking for the snake. He comes back, sees her, thinks she's had a heart attack. He hears her scream, thinks she's had a heart attack. So he begins to do CPR. About that time, his wife comes in and sees him apparently kissing the neighbor. Unfortunately for him, there was a Coke bottle on the table. Bam! Well, at this moment, as everything else is going on, the police arrive. They come in, they see two unconscious people and an apparently very angry woman standing over them with a broken Coke bottle. And they proceed to arrest her. Then they decide, as the other two come around, they decide they better arrest them all. They figure they must all be drunk or high because they're all babbling about a snake. Well, about that time, the snake came out again, slithered across the floor. One of the cops pulled his gun and shot at him. He missed. But he hit the leg of an end table and it fell over. The lamp that was on the end table fell over. It shattered. Sparks went everywhere. And the drapes caught on fire. This gets worse and worse, doesn't it? The policeman rushes over to try to put the drapes out. He trips over the broken end table and falls out the window onto the family dog, who proceeds to go running out of the yard into traffic, causing a car to swerve and hit the police cruiser. Everything goes bad on this. Meanwhile, some neighbors saw the drapes and they called the fire department. As the fire department came down the street, they began to raise their fire ladder, because this was a second floor window. And they managed to tear out the power lines, causing 10 blocks of outages. All of this happened. So the story goes that when the husband finally got out of the hospital, they put him in a cast, he got home. And later, on the night that he got home, his wife looks at him and says, "Should we bring in the plants?" He shot her. Now, that's a bad day, amen? Under any definition, that is a very bad day. Maybe you've been on one of those kind of days. You've been on one that nothing has went right. Maybe you're on one today. Maybe everything's been going bad today. Well, I got some good news for you. You see, you can do one of two things when you have a day like that. You can either worry or you can worship. And one of the reasons that we have worship is to be an antidote to our worry. Amen. Think about this now. When you're having all kinds of difficulties and problems, you're worried over everything. You're worried about where you're going to get the money for your next bill. You're worried about family members. You're worried about your job. You're worried about your health. You're worrying over every little thing. What is the one thing that can help you out of that? Start worshiping God, because He's bigger than all your worries. Amen? He's greater than all your worries. We're going to take a couple of weeks yet to look at worship.